Good afternoon, friends. I trust that we are all okay this afternoon. We thank God for His grace and His mercy. We thank Him for the gift of life. And this afternoon, we are continuing with the story of Abraham. The last time that we were together in the other video, we spoke about Abraham arriving in Canaan. And we picked up the story from verse 10, which says Abram in Egypt. And verse 10 says, there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe. As he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife. They will kill me, but will let you live. Say you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you. So we see Abram going to Egypt because in Canaan there was a severe famine. And he says to his wife Sarai, when we get to Egypt, because you are so beautiful, so these Egyptians will want to kill me so that they can have you. So when we get there, don't tell them that you are my wife. Tell them you are my sister, so that they will spare me. And if we look at what Abram was doing, he had little trust in God at this moment, because he didn't even consult God about going to Egypt. And when he was on the way, he couldn't even ask God as to what he was going to do in Egypt. So he just goes, and then he decides with Sarai, his wife, that they are going to deceive the Egyptians when they get there. They will lie and say that, no, we are brother and sister, we are not husband and wife. Let's hear what happens in verse 14. And in verse 14 it says that when Abram came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw Sarai they saw Sarai when they came to Egypt, and and they indeed saw that Sarai was beautiful. And Pharaoh's officials went to Pharaoh and so they took Sarai to Pharaoh, to the palace. And when she got there, they treated Abram well for her sake. And Abraham acquired sheep, cattle, male, female donkeys, male, female servants, and camels. But the Lord inflicted serious diseases on Pharaoh and his household because of Abraham's wife, Sarai. So Pharaoh summoned Abraham. What have you done to me? He said. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister? So that I took her to my wife, so that I took her to be my wife. Now then, here is your wife, take her and go. Then Pharaoh gave orders about Abram and his men. They sent him on his way with his wife and everything he had. So we See, Abraham, when he got to Egypt, doing the very same thing that they decided to do with his wife. They get there, they tell the Egyptians that we are brother and sister. And what do the Egyptians do? They take, because Sarai was very beautiful, so they took her to the king so that Sarai could be one of the wives of the king. And the king gladly accepted her because she was a beautiful woman. So they treated Abram very well, because in their mind they were thinking that, no, it's Abram's sister, so there's nothing wrong about taking her. So they treated Abram well, and Abram acquired sheep, we are told, cattle, male, female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. He acquired a lot of wealth in Egypt, while pretending that Sarah was his sister. Yet Sarai was his wife. Rather, she was his wife. And we are told in verse 17 that God inflicted serious diseases on Pharaoh and his household because of Abram's wife, Sarai. So God brings diseases, serious diseases, on Pharaoh and his household because of Abram's wife, Sarai. And Pharaoh discovers that this man lied to me. He told me that this was his wife. Rather, this was his sister, yet it was his wife. So the king wasn't very happy with what Abram did, because Abram had lied to the king. And he summons Abram, and then he asks him, he says to him, why have you done this to me? Why did you lie to me? And he says, take your wife and go. I don't want to see you here. Go, take your wife and go. And Abram does that. He takes his wife and all the wealth that he has acquired, and he went back to Canaan. And Abraham can be said to be a man of faith, a man of great faith. But we see him here not showing that faith in God. We see him wavering, lying to the king about his wife. And the king ended up discovering himself without Abraham telling him, because of the sicknesses that had befallen Pharaoh and his household. And Abraham is called, and then they are released, they are made to go back to Canaan. And this story teaches us something very important. We may be men and women of faith or children of faith, but sometimes we face crisis. And when we have a crisis, our faith is tested. And sometimes we are exposed of who we are. Like Abraham, he was exposed here. And we face situations sometimes where our faith is tested, and we end up doing things that we should not be doing as children of God. And sometimes we end up saying things, lying to cover our backs. We do those things sometimes. So we may be people of faith, but sometimes we waver. And my encouragement to us this afternoon is that we should know who we are. We are men who will waver sometimes. And when we waver, let's remember who we are. Let's remember that we have God who can help us in times of crisis. So when we face crisis, the best place where we can go is to go to God and tell him all our troubles. Tell him things that are bothering us. Tell him things that are challenging us. Tell him our trials and temptations, and he will take care of the situations that we face. When we read the book of Joshua, God says to Joshua, don't be afraid, don't be discouraged. I will be with you. As I was with Moses, I will be with you as well. So no one will be able to stand against you because I am with you. So let's remain connected to God so that he can help us in all our challenges.